next rule says, when the signs are different, subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. Assuming we have values such as -1 plus 4. Here we have a -1, so the sign of this number is negative, and here we have a positive number. The sign of this number is positive. Remember, the sign of a number is the sign in front of it to the left. To the left of 1 we have a minus, which is negative, and to the left of 4 we have a plus, which is positive. That being said, are the signs of these numbers same? Obviously no. The signs are not the same. And the rule says, when the signs are not the same, subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. So let's go ahead and solve some questions. The first question we have here says, -2 plus 6. The first thing you want to figure out, are the signs of the numbers same? The sign of 2 here is negative, a minus, and the sign of 6 here is positive, plus. Are the signs the same? No. Because the signs are not the same, the rule applies. And what does the rule say? The rule says we subtract. So we always have to subtract using the bigger number. We have that 6 minus 2 is 4. But we have to keep the sign of the bigger number. And what is the sign of the bigger number? Between 2 and 6, what is the bigger number? 6 is the bigger number. So there is no need to write plus 4. Our answer for this is simply 4. For the next question, we have -5 plus 9. The sign of 5 here is negative. So we have a -5, and the sign of 9 here is positive. So we have a positive 9. Now, because the signs are different, what do? We subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. So here we have 9 minus 5 as 4. Remember, you always have to subtract using the bigger number. And the sign of the bigger number is plus, and there is no need to write plus, since when there is no sign in front of a number, it is a positive number. So our answer for this question is just 4. For the next question, we have 6 minus 3. The sign of 6 here is positive, and the sign of 3 is negative. Do they have the same sign? No. Because they do not have the same sign, the rule applies, and we always have to use the bigger number to subtract. So 6 minus 3 is 3. Then keep the sign of the bigger number, and the bigger number here is 6. So the answer here is 3. For the next question, which is 7 minus 1, are the signs of these numbers or these values same? No, because for 7 we have a positive, and for 1 we have a negative. So their signs are not the same. And when you figure out if their signs are the same or if their signs are different, what's the next thing you do? When the signs are different, you subtract, and we always have to use the bigger number to subtract. Here 7 is the bigger number, so 7 minus 1 is 6, and we'll keep the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number here is 7, and the sign of 7 is positive, but we do not need to write plus, because when the number is just written like that, it is a positive number. So here we have 6. We have a task right here. Do this task yourself. So what you have to do is pause this video and solve the task yourself, then play it to see me solve it. -1 plus 4. The first thing you want to know is, are the signs of the values same? The sign of 1 here is negative, and the sign of 4 here is positive. Remember, the sign of a number is the sign in front of it to the left, and they do not have the same sign, as you can see. Therefore, we'll have to subtract. Subtracting, we always have to use the bigger number. 4 minus 1 is 3. So the next thing you want to figure out is, what is the sign? The sign is always the sign of the bigger number, and here 4 is the bigger number. Therefore, the sign is plus, and there is no need to write plus 3, because 3 on its own, that any sign in front of it to the left, is a positive value. So we'll have just 3. Because our answer is positive 3, we can comfortably just write 3. The next says -3 plus 11. The sign of 3 is negative and the sign of 11 is positive. Therefore, the signs are not the same. We have to subtract. We always have to subtract using the bigger number. And the bigger number here is 11. 11 minus 3 is 8. And we'll have to keep the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number here is 11. And 11 is positive. So there's no need to write plus 8. 8 is enough. The next says 12 minus 5. The sign of 12 is positive and the sign of 5 is negative. Now we know that the signs are different. What do we have to do? We subtract. And we always have to subtract using the bigger number. The bigger number here is 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. And the sign of the bigger number, which is 12, is positive, which is plus. We do not need to write that. 7 is just okay. So we'll have a positive 7. The next is 8 minus 3. The sign of 8 is positive and the sign of 3 is negative. This simply means they have different signs. Because they have different signs, we subtract. 8 minus 3 is 5 and a positive 5. So our answer is 5. When the same signs multiply, the result is always positive. But the different signs multiply, the result is always negative. To explain the table you can see here, and you can always construct this table on your own. Just know that when same signs such as positive, plus, times plus, minus, times minus, when same signs such as plus times plus multiply, the answer is always positive. As minus times minus multiply, the answer is still always positive. So the hack here is when same signs multiply, the answer is positive. When we have different signs multiply such as plus, times, minus, the answer is negative. Or minus times plus, the answer is also negative. So what I want you to take note is that when different signs multiply, you have a negative answer. But when same signs multiply, you have a positive answer. So we have 2 times minus 3. So we have a positive 2 multiplied by negative 3. Remember that when there is no sign in front of a number to the left, it means it is a positive value. So from here, we have positive times a negative. And the rule says when different signs multiply, we expect to have a negative value. So plus times minus is minus, and 2 times 3 is 6. Now the most important thing to do here is figure out the signs of various values multiplying. Then multiply the sign first, then you can multiply the numbers or the values later. Why are we doing this? We want to know the right sign that should be our final value or our final answer. So here we have negative 6. 1 multiplied by 5. 1 multiplied by 5. First, the sign of 1 here is positive and the sign of 5 here is also positive, because when there is no sign written in the front of a number to the left, it simply means it's a positive value. And when same signs multiply, we know that we expect a positive value as well. So we're expecting a positive, so you can just put down the positive. 1 times 5 is also 5. Now, but because positive values can stand alone, there is no need to write that plus. So we just know that our value here is 5, which is also a positive value. So up next we have 2 bracket minus 6. Remember, in mathematics, a bracket or parenthesis also imply multiplication. So we have 2 multiplied by minus 6. The sign of 2 is plus and the sign of 6 is minus. Now we have different signs multiplying, and the rule says when different signs multiply, we expect a negative answer. So even before multiplying, we know we're expecting a negative answer, so we're expecting a negative. Then 2 times 6 is 12, so we'll have negative 12. The next says in parenthesis 3 and another parenthesis 5. Now remember, brackets or parentheses in mathematics also implies multiplication, so we simply have 3 times 5. The sign of 3 is positive and the sign of 5 is also positive, so we can multiply them and have a positive answer finally. 3 times 5 is just 15, and because it is a positive 15, there is no need to write plus. Our answer here is just 15. Right here we have 4 in brackets multiplied by minus 3. Since brackets also means multiplication. We can just simply have multiplication simple here. Now the signs are different. The sign of 4 is positive, while the sign of 3 is negative. So I haven't said that we know we are expecting a negative answer since different signs are multiplying, and 4 times 3 is 12. So our final answer is minus 12. Do this task yourself, then play the video and watch me solve. It's important to do this task yourself because if you don't, you avail yourself an opportunity to learn. So always do well to pause the video and solve. Try on your own first, then play it later to join me. So let's go. We have, for the first one, negative 5 multiplied by negative 3. Negative 5 multiplied by negative 3. Since their signs are the same, we expect to have a positive answer. Remember, when same signs multiply, we expect to have a positive answer. So minus times minus is plus, and 5 times 3 is 15. I'm writing this for explanation purpose, but there is no need to write plus there. So we just have positive 15. The next says minus 2 times 7. Their signs are different because the sign of 2 is negative while the sign of 7 is positive. Because of that, we expect a negative answer and we need to write that. We need to write the minus sign. 2 times 7 is 14. So here we have minus 14. The next question says, in brackets, minus 3 multiplied by 2. Since brackets also means multiplication, we can have the minus 3 times 2. The sign of 3 is negative and the sign of 2 is positive. Therefore, we are expecting a negative answer. 3 times 2 is 6. So finally we have minus 6. The next says, in bracket 2 multiplied by 6, which can also be written as 2 times 6. The sign of 2 is plus and the sign of 6 is also plus. Therefore, we expect a positive answer. 2 times 6 is 12. That's plus 12 or a positive 12. So here we just have 12. There is no need to write plus sign. We are now on the last slide for this lesson. If you missed the first rule, which is addition of integers, please check out for the previous lesson, which is the previous video. And if you missed the introductory video, it is very, very important that you go through that video to know what you are expecting from this whole expedition. So I haven't said that. Let's get to the first question, which is minus 5 plus minus 3. To the left of 5, we have a negative. But then, to the left of 3, we have a negative and also a positive. We have to simplify that out. Minus 5 plus, since bracket also implies times, we can multiply to have times minus 3 is equal to, now first of all let's simplify plus times minus. When different signs multiply, we expect a negative. So here is negative 5, negative 3, because plus times minus is negative. And right here we now have minus 5 minus 3. Now this brings us to the first rule in the previous lesson or the previous video. Now when we have same signs combining, what do? We add them up and keep the sign. So it's very necessary you understand and know this rule. For here, 5 plus 3 is 8, but since they are both negative numbers, we have minus 8. So the answer for this is negative 8. When I say negative 8 and minus 8, I mean literally the same thing. The next question says 2 minus minus 3. The sign of 2 is positive, but to the left of 3, we have two signs, which is not practical, so we have to obviously multiply. So 2 minus times minus 3. When same signs multiply, we'll have a positive answer. So if it is plus times plus, we'll have positive, and if it is minus times minus, we'll have also positive. So this becomes 2 plus 3. This brings us back to the first rule. The sign of 2 here is plus, and the sign of 3 here is also plus. Since they are same signs, we can add them up and also keep the sign. 2 plus 3 is 5. And this is plus 5. There is no need to write a plus for it, so we just have 5 here. I believe now you can see why 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, because we have a plus 2 adding to a plus 2. Since they are same signs, we add them up. 2 plus 2 is 4. and this is a positive 4 plus 4. 4 plus, in brackets, minus 3. The sign of 4 here is positive, so 4 plus times minus 3. Plus times minus is negative because when different signs multiply, they give you negative value. So 4 minus 3. The sign of 4 here is plus, and the sign of 3 is negative, minus. Since they have different signs, we subtract. I will always have to subtract using the bigger number. 4 minus 3 is 1, and we keep the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number is 4, which is a positive value, so our final answer is just 1. And finally, minus 6 minus brackets minus 2. Here we'll have minus 6 minus times minus 2 minus 6. Minus times minus is plus, because when same signs multiply, we have a positive, so plus 2. Minus 6 plus 2, since the signs are different, we'll have to subtract, and you always subtract using the bigger number. 6 minus 2 is 4. We'll keep the sign of the bigger number, which is minus. And we've come to the end of this lesson. Do well to like, subscribe, and share. If you want to join our maths community, just drop a comment below, and please ensure you see the previous video. Thank you for showing up today. Have a nice time.